First came the line and the OCTAGON. Then came the Dubai Circle, now a massive cube. Saudi Arabia unveiled the Mukaab earlier this month as its most recent undertaking. It's a cube so large that 20 Empire State Buildings could fit inside of it, with a holographic dome that whisks tourists away to other planets and fantastical realms. Saudi Arabia described it as a portal to another universe. So will the Mukaab actually be completed? Or is this merely a viral marketing gimmick? If so, when would it start to accept visitors? We'll look at everything we've learned so far in this video. Saudi Arabia is a powerful nation in the Middle East that is well known for its enormous oil reserves. But Saudi Arabia wants to rely less on this oil in order to reduce its dependence. Because of this, they have begun launching and constructing enormous mega projects under the motto Vision 2030, in an effort to gradually transition their economy away from oil and towards tourism. The biggest of these initiatives is NEOM, a $1 trillion mega project that comprises the 170-kilometer-long line city, the OCTAGON floating port city, and Trojena, a sizable ski resort in the Arabian desert. In several of our earlier videos, we have already discussed NEOM, yet there have been some significant upgrades to these projects over the past few weeks. The CEO of NEOM stated in January that 20% of the city's infrastructure had already been built. The line, the OCTAGON, and Trojena were just a few of the enormous construction sites visible in an update video that opened with the words, "NEOM is real." Moreover, Saudi Arabia has teamed with some significant corporations, such as Oracle and NVIDIA, to put up NEOM's citywide AI technology. There is now a brand new project called Welcome to New Murabba, as if the introduction of NEOM with a line, OCTAGON, and Trojena wasn't enough. The newest component to Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030 is this cube. Saudi Arabia doesn't want to overlook the other major cities in the kingdom, despite the recent focus on NEOM. Because of this, New Murabba will be constructed in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Riyadh is already a city that is expanding quickly. It was a small village with fewer than 500,000 people 50 years ago, but it today has more than 7 million people, making it the third largest metropolis in the Middle East. And according to Mohammed bin Salman, the Saudi Crown Prince, the New Murabba project will create the largest contemporary downtown in the entire globe. It is anticipated that this new district would accelerate Riyadh's expansion. More than 80 entertainment venues, a number of walking routes, a sizable museum, and, at the center of it all, the enormous Mukaab. The structure will be known simply as the Cube, because the Arabic word Mukaab means cube. After the line and the OCTAGON, Saudi Arabia's mega projects seem to have a trend of building basic geometric structures at absurd scales. The facade of the cube is influenced by Nadi architecture, a conventional design that has been adopted by the people of Saudi Arabia for hundreds of years and has been referred as the new face of Riyadh. Sunlight will reflect off the lovely surface, which will dominate Riyadh's skyline. This cube will be astounding in its size. It will officially qualify as a super tall skyscraper because it is 400 meters tall. It would be the fourth tallest structure in Dubai. The Mukaab, however, would entirely dominate the skyline because it is 400 meters broad in contrast to other skyscrapers. To put things into perspective, the Mukaab is large enough to fit 20 Empire State Buildings. It would be much larger than any current cube-shaped structures found elsewhere in the world. For instance, a remarkable office building in Germany is the Berlin Cube. Although it is eye-catching due to its mirror-like sides, it is just 40 meters tall. Thousands of them might fit inside the Mukaab. This cube might easily surpass the Boeing Everett plant in Washington, which now holds the record for largest structure on Earth in terms of sheer volume. In fact, it would be so large that the cube could house the Boeing factory roughly 5 times. But what use will all of this space serve? The Mukaab Cube. What use will all of this space serve? The Mukaab Cube is designed to make entering it feel like stepping into another universe. Above its visitors will be a massive dome that showcases various virtual realities. The purpose of these holographic displays is to give visitors to the Mukaab the impression that they are somewhere else entirely. You might be at the bottom of the ocean one second and on Mars' surface, or in a fantastical world of magic the next. It's intended to be a completely immersive experience unlike anything you've ever had. A spiral tower that rises from the floor to the roof and resembles an anthill or brackets of fungus will be located in the center of the dome. This tower is intended to be a high-end tourism attraction for visitors from all over the world. Also, it will include dining establishments, lodging options, observation decks, and movie theaters. The enormous cube will next envelop the tower and the dome. Also, the cube's four corners will be filled with facilities that are stacked in towers that resemble skyscrapers. Also, the top will be utilized to house lakes, lawns, and trees. It depends on the situation as to whether or not it makes sense to create a lake there. But why is the Mukhab designed like a cube? The cube-shaped design of the Mukhab is, in the opinion of its creators, the best one for housing all the cutting-edge technologies that will assist the entire experience. The equipment will need to be concealed in the area between the bell jar dome and the outside cube. Although it is unclear how they intend to display the virtual worlds. To support the gardens on the top of the cube, there will also need to be a substantial array of joists and beams between the dome and the shell. The cube's corner towers, which resemble skyscrapers, will provide additional stability. It's doubtful if that would be able to sustain the largest roof in the entire globe, let alone the garden on top. The Mukhab is also intended to become more recognizable due to its cube-shaped appearance. The Mukhab would provide Riyadh a distinctive landmark that would help it stand out among other major cities throughout the globe. It is comparable to the Statue of Liberty in New York or the Eiffel Tower in Paris. Anybody who views a picture of the cube will immediately conjure up Riyadh in their minds. Nonetheless, there has been some feedback about the shape. According to some, it resembles the Kaaba in Mecca, another city in Saudi Arabia. A Muslim must face the Kaaba when praying wherever in the world because it is the religion's holiest place. Some, however, have disputed the similarity and noted that there are other cubes in the world outside the Kaaba. Nobody compared the Berlin cube to the Kaaba when it was constructed in Germany, so why should the Mukhab be any different? These others have also noted that the Saudi monarch is Muslim. As a result, the similarity is likely coincidental. The Saudi crown would purposefully construct an objectionable building in the shape of the Kaaba. In general, enthusiasm and mystery have followed the introduction of the Mukhab project, but everyone is wondering if the Mukhab will actually be constructed. Though it hasn't started yet, construction should get going in the next months, similar to the other projects included in Vision 2030, such as the Line, OCTAGON, and Trojena. Saudi Arabia has pledged that this one will be completed and open to the public by the year 2030. This project is probably simpler to do than the Line. In spite of that, it would essentially still be the largest mega project ever constructed. The outcome is therefore unpredictable. So let's divide it into three distinct situations. The first potential outcome, which Saudi Arabia would undoubtedly appreciate the most, is that the cube's construction will begin in the next months and will be completed by 2030. As they have promised, Riyadh will have a new symbol and gradually draw travelers from all over the world to become one of the most popular travel destinations. There are many obstacles to overcome, which brings us to the following second scenario. If everything sounds too good to be true, financial professionals already have doubts about the project's viability. They are unable to predict where Saudi Arabia will get the money to fund yet another massive undertaking. The economics of all of this are not completely secure. According to Dr. ANDREAS KRIEG of King's College London, an authority in Middle Eastern studies, CN questioned the Public Investment Fund about the project's financing a few days after the Mukhab made their statement. The PIF retorted that although financial information had not yet been made public, it will soon. The amount of foreign investment will be crucial. Saudi Arabia wants to pull in more than $100 billion annually by 2030, which would aid in funding initiatives like the Mukhab. They haven't reached that level yet. But if enough publicity can be created, international investment might start to increase quickly. Nevertheless, there is no assurance that will happen. Vision Amnesty International's allegations of human rights breaches against 2030 cast a shadow over the project as a whole and may deter foreign investment. Even if Saudi Arabia is successful in raising the necessary funds, there is still a much more challenging obstacle to overcome. Is this massive project even technologically feasible? Holograms like the ones the Mukhab announced don't yet exist, even if certain cutting-edge businesses, like Lightfield Lab, have made significant strides lately. Holograms the size of Mukhab's dome still seem like science fiction. Large LED screens may likely produce a similar result. This is taking place at the MSG Sphere, a project that is currently being constructed in Las Vegas and is scheduled to debut this year. The inside wall of this immersive entertainment space will be totally covered by a wraparound screen. and it will be formed like a huge sphere. It will be the largest screen in the world, measuring 15,000 square meters, or almost 3 football fields. Like to the Mukaab in Saudi Arabia, it's intended to take sphere audiences to immersive worlds. The Mukaab screen would need to be significantly larger than the MSG spheres, and it's uncertain whether one that size could actually be constructed. This is a significant difference, not to mention the enormous lake that is located on the cube's roof. The tension on the structure would be greatly increased by millions of gallons of water. As a result, the cube would need to be made highly strong and watertight. The expensive technology right below would be severely damaged if the lake were to leak. In other words, the cube is already dealing with some significant difficulties. There's a danger it won't get finished if there isn't money to pay for it or technology to support it. Nevertheless, there is a third possibility. Perhaps the cube will someday be constructed, albeit in a scaled-down, less ambitious version. It might be shrunk from 400 meters to 200 meters or less. It would still be the tallest cube-shaped structure in the world, even at 100 meters, making it a spectacular sight to behold. In comparison to the existing designs, it would be disappointing, but it would still be an improvement. Although it is hard to predict what will occur next, it is certain that the following 2 years are going to be very interesting. The Mukaab, the Line, and other groundbreaking initiatives might welcome visitors when 2030 eventually arrives. Perhaps none of them will ever be completed. How do you feel? Tell us in the comment section below.